How much, if anything, were we able to learn about Cade Cunningham from the 12 games he appeared in at the beginning of the 2022-23 season before a shin injury shut him down for the rest of the year? Obviously, it was a limited sample size, and we will learn way more about him next season, assuming he's healthy. But I would say there were a few takeaways from his early season play. In those 12 games, Cunningham averaged just a shade under 20 points, a little over 6 rebounds, and exactly 6 assists. Those are promising numbers for a second-year player, albeit again just 12 games. But he didn't shoot the ball well in general, making 41.5% of his attempts overall and 27.9% of his threes. Cade relies almost exclusively on craftiness, patience, and control. He's not blazing fast and doesn't possess supreme athleticism, but his change of pace mixed with ball handling creativity and a knack for swerving in and out of traffic is what makes him a tough cover at his size. He's someone that generally dribbles a lot while searching for a shot attempt. In fact, according to Second Spectrum, he averaged 5.4 dribbles before his shots this season, the 11th highest mark in the league among players who took a minimum of 200 shots. In case you're curious, that was up from last year when he averaged 4.2 dribbles before shots. Of course, last year as a rookie, he took over 1,000 shots. So who knows where he would have landed in this category if he didn't get hurt. Others that rely heavily on a steady dribble prior to taking shots include Luka Doncic, Jalen Brunson, James Harden, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Like Cade, they are not explosive players, so there's some clear commonality between them. Of the 224 shots Cunningham took, 109 came with at least 5 dribbles beforehand, 82 came with at least 7 dribbles beforehand, and 51 came with at least 10 dribbles beforehand. The thing too is that he tends to be much more in rhythm when a lot of dribbles precede the shot. On attempts that he took with at least 7 dribbles beforehand, he shot a shade over 48%. On attempts that he took with under 7 dribbles beforehand, he shot just 37.3%. That leads us to his ability to score effectively out of the pick and roll and pick and pop. Keep having to preface this by saying he didn't play much, but he averaged the most shots as the ball handler in pick and roll in the league this season with 10.1 per contest and shot 48% on them, which is a pretty high mark. His sweet spot is around the free throw line. He loves to pull up from around that region. He made 52% of his shots from that area. He actually shot a better percentage from there than he did from inside the paint, where he shot 48.9%. How well Cunningham meshes with Jaden Ivey is obviously going to be critical in the long run. When the two were on the floor together in those 12 games, Cunningham only shot 33.3% on 138 attempts. This will be something to keep a close eye on next season. Both need the ball in their hands to be effective, so it's going to be interesting to see how their chemistry develops. It's important to have at least 2 quality playmakers on the floor at the same time, but both need to be able to shoot off the catch when the other is creating. And that brings us to Cunningham's perimeter shooting off the catch, which has been extremely poor in the early stages of his career. He only shot 31% on his 32 catch and shoot tries this year. Last year, he only shot 32%. He shot 40% from three-point distance in college, but so far, it hasn't translated in the pros. In those 12 games this year, he made 1 of his 5 corner threes, 8 of his 28 attempts from the three-point wings, and 8 of his 27 tries from straight away. Now he's going to have to become a more efficient scorer to justify being a number 1 overall draft pick. But the good news is that he impacts the game in other ways, starting with his passing. He has very good court vision and instincts, and being 6'7" with a 7-foot wingspan helps him as well. As you can see from these clips, he makes sharp passes to attacking teammates, as well as clean kickouts to open shooters after getting into the paint. I also think there's a lot of potential defensively with him. He comes up with a lot of deflections, and his length is a big factor at his position, he does a good job of obstructing shots both on the perimeter and near the basket. Just based on what he's shown so far, he looks to me like a taller version of Markelle Fultz. The ability to vault up from the mid-range off the dribble and the craftiness and movements when he attacks the basket to me are very similar. Cade's height gives him some extra advantages, but their play styles are similar. Cade has more range at the moment, although Markelle continues to work at that. A former player that he draws comparisons to is Grant Hill, who just so happened to have his best years with the Pistons. Hill was definitely a little quicker and was a much more powerful finisher, but the craftiness and creativity with the ball in their hands are similar. And like Cade, Hill had remarkably good vision and instincts as a playmaker. Something I think Cade needs to figure out is how to initiate more contact on drives, which was something Hill was exceptional at. Cade hasn't gotten to the free throw line much early in his career, but at his size, this should be something he adds to his arsenal. A fun debate now 2 years into the 2021 NBA draft class is what would the order be if that draft was redone. Now obviously every team's situation is different. Would Cade still be the number one pick? It's possible. I think many would probably side with Evan Mobley because of the defensive impact he makes and the upside he possesses offensively. Others who have played very well early in their careers include Franz Wagner and Josh Giddey. Then there's Jalen Green, who was picked right behind Cade. Scotty Barnes was the Rookie of the Year last season. Alperen Şengün has shown plenty of flashes as well. So it's a tough call, but clearly it's turning out to be a pretty strong draft class. And I think there are a few others that we'll see more growth from in the coming years, like Jonathan Kuminga, for example. So that will wrap up this video. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe.